It's a great pleasure to welcome you once again to this course on inferential discrete mathematics. In the last class, we learned how to implement the Warshall's algorithm to determine the transitive closure of any given relation. The algorithm was executed in terms of iterations, and we saw a few examples for finding the transitive closure of simple relations. In today's class, we will discuss equivalence relations. Now you can recall that any relation that is all of reflexive, symmetric and transitive are what we call as equivalence relation. We have had a look at some simple relations which were all the three, but it is not always the case where a relation is defined totally in terms of its ordered pairs. There are relations which are defined in the form of a description, and we will still have to find out if they are equivalence relations or not. We will have a look at that set of problems. We will have a look at that set of problems where the definition of the relation is given in the form of a description. It is not in terms of ordered pairs, but in terms of a description. We will have a look at those problems and we will find out whether those relations are in fact equivalence relation. The first example that we will see is quite a simple one. It is for you people to get into the groove of proving that relations are equivalent or not. The relation is on a set of all straight lines in the 2D plane, and any two lines L and M are said to be related if and only if they are parallel. Now recall that we say that two lines are parallel if the angle between them is 0. That is the definition that you will have to recall to attack this problem. Now can this relation be reflexive, which means can you ever find an ordered pair which has a line paired up with itself? Can a line be related to itself? Can a line be parallel to itself? Turns out to be yes. Every line is parallel to itself, and therefore you will always have every line related to itself, and hence this relation R is actually a reflexive relation. This is only an example. This relation is a reflexive relation. Next up, if you have a pair of lines L and M related to each other, can we also say that M is also related to L the other way around? That is what you try and look at before proving that the relation is symmetric. Can you say something like that? Turns out that it is, because if I say one line L is like this and the other line M is like this and they are parallel, then the property of being parallel is commutative. If L1 is parallel to L2, then you also have L2 being parallel to L1. So L is parallel to M, and therefore M is also parallel to L. Therefore you have both the ordered pairs in the relation R. Therefore this R is also symmetric. Now you might have guessed what the next part of the proof is going to be. We are trying to show that this relation is also transitive. So if you have three lines, let us say L, M and N, where L is parallel to M and M is parallel to N, can we say that L is also parallel to N? Of course we can say that, and therefore this relation is also transitive. Therefore we see that the given relation is all of reflexive, symmetric and transitive, and this relation is therefore an equivalence relation. Now what if we were to relate two lines if they are perpendicular? In the last example we related lines if they are parallel. What if we relate two lines only when they are perpendicular? Can this relation form, can this relation be an equivalence relation? Turns out that it is not. First up, no line is perpendicular to itself, because a line makes an angle of 0 with itself, and you say two lines are perpendicular only when the angle between them is 90. No line can be perpendicular to itself, therefore you will never find an ordered pair like this in the plane. So this is not reflexive. R is cannot be reflexive, which means that it obviously loses out on being an equivalence relation. On the other hand, it is interesting to see that it is actually symmetric, because if L is like this and M is like this and their angle between them is 90 degrees, then it also means that both Lm and Ml are part of the relation. Therefore, R is actually symmetric, but that doesn't help the cause, because just being symmetric doesn't mean that R is transitive and also being an equivalence relation. Therefore, it is only symmetric, it is not going to help us to prove that it is equivalent. The last case, when you have Lm as one pair of perpendicular lines and you have Mn as another pair of perpendicular lines, can we now show that L and N are also perpendicular? No, it doesn't turn out to be so. L and N are in fact parallel. So therefore, R cannot be transitive. So this relation is only symmetric, but that is not enough to show that it is an equivalence relation. Therefore, R cannot be or is not an equivalence relation. R is not an equivalence relation. This is how we will discuss problems in this class. We will just have a description of the relation and the set on which it is defined. We will not have ordered pairs. It is our exercise to imagine what ordered pairs will be present and how to show that they form an equivalence relation. Now, have a look at this. Let us consider the set of all positive integers which begin with 1, 2, 3 and up north. That is the set that we are taking. The set A is non-empty, on which we are defining the relation, and we say that two positive integers are related if and only if their sum is an even number. Now try and imagine what ordered pairs will be present. You will have 1, 3, because 1 plus 3 is 4, which is even. You will have 3, 5, 3 plus 5 is 8, that is even. You will have 2, 6, 2 plus 6, which is even. You will have 4, 10, 4 plus 10 is also even. You will have such ordered pairs. Now we are trying to show that, and you will have so many other ordered pairs, because the set that we are considering here is infinite, and therefore the number of ordered pairs you cannot actually count them, you can only describe them. That is why this example is different. So this is this a sample of the pairs that will be considered in this relation, but can you show whether this forms an equivalence relation or not? That is the exercise before us. Now the question here is to find out what pair will not be part of the relation. For that matter, if you can visualize, you will never find an ordered pair of the form 1, 2. 1, 2 cannot be part of the relation, because 1 and 2 give you a sum of 3, which is not an even number. So 1 and 2 is not part of R, Only ordered pairs like this are part of R. That is the general description of the ordered pairs that are considered in this relation. Now our task is to try and show or try and see for ourselves if R can actually form an equivalence relation. Now we will start out and find if it is actually reflexive, because if it fails to be reflexive, like the previous example, we can easily conclude that it is never going to form an equivalence relation. We will try and see if it is reflexive. Can it be reflexive? What do you mean when you say a relation is reflexive? You will say that when you will have ordered pairs of this form for every element that is part of the set. Now we saw in the previous slide that 1, 1 is part of the relation. Now can you say whether 2, 2 is part of the relation? Yes. 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6, 4 and 4 give you 8, 5 and 5 give you 10. All these pairs will have a sum as an even number, and therefore they will be forming a part of the set. But how to generalize? Now the most fundamental thing about math is that examples are not proof. You will have to prove it rigorously. And how do you show actually that this is true for any A that you pick up? We will do it by considering two cases. A case where A is odd, A is an odd integer, and a case where A is an even integer. We show it by considering, because any integer that you pick up can either be an odd integer or an even integer. In both cases, we will see that the pair a comma a is part of the set. Now, any odd number is of the form 2k plus 1. It is one more than a multiple of 2. So, when you add a and a, you are supposed to get 2k plus 1 plus 2k plus 1, which is 4k plus 2. And 4k plus 2 is always an even number, because 4 is an even number. 4 times any number is going to be even. You are adding another even number to that. So, a plus a is always an even number, and therefore, whenever a is an odd number, a comma a will be part of the relation. You have done it for the odd number case. Now, let us try it for the even number case. What if a is even? If a is even, a is going to be of the form 2k, because it is a multiple of 2. Every even number that you can think of is a multiple of 2. So, a is of the form 2k. Now, what happens if you add a with a? You will have 2k and 2k giving us 4k. It is a multiple of 4. Now, as long as k is an integer, 4k is always an even number. So, which means a plus a is also an even number, which means the pair a comma a will also be part of the relation even if a is an even number. So, we have considered two cases, a being odd and a being even, and in both cases we see that the pair a comma a is part of the relation. Therefore, R is reflexive. You can also give me an argument which says an odd number plus an odd number is always an even number, and therefore both things will work out. But doing it rigorously is part of the proof. Now, the next thing we will try and show that R is symmetric. Now, how do you know whether any relation is symmetric? That whenever AB is part of the relation, it should also imply that its symmetric opposite BA is also part of the relation. We will try and see what happens if AB is part of the relation. If AB is part of the relation, this will imply the statement that A plus B is an even number. If A plus B is an even number, then A plus B is of the form 2k, but k is any positive integer. If A plus B is even number, then you also know that B plus A is also the same thing, because addition is commutative. The order in which you add two numbers is not going to affect the answer. So, if A plus B is even, then so is B plus A. Therefore, the ordered pair B comma A will be part of the relation. So, you have assumed that AB is part of the relation and you have shown that BA is part of the relation. Therefore, R is also symmetric. Now, this gets interesting because we just showed that it is reflexive and we are now showing that it is symmetric. The next task is to show that it is also transitive. Now, how do you show that it is transitive? Well, let us consider two pairs which are part of the relation AB and BC. Now, let us talk about what happens if you consider A and C. Now, since AB is part of the relation, A plus B is an even number at 2k, and since BC is a part of the relation, B plus C is another even number, say 2m. Now, we are supposed to show something about AC. You know that AC is part of the relation only when A plus C is even. You will have to bring about an expression for A plus C which shows that it is an even number. And we will do that by directly adding these two equations. Adding will give us A plus 2B plus C is 2k plus 2m, or A plus C is just 2k plus 2m minus 2b. On the right, you have an addition of two even numbers and you subtract another even number from that, which will always be 2 times k plus m minus b, and any number of this form is always an even number. So, whenever you have AB and BC as part of the relation, you also have AC as part of the relation. Therefore, R is also transitive. R is also transitive. So, the previous slides we have shown that R is reflexive and R is transitive, R symmetric. Now, we have shown that R is transitive. Therefore, the relation that we have picked up is actually an equivalence relation. R is hence an equivalence relation. So this is a sample of the problem that we will see. Only the description of the set is given, the set itself is not given. The set itself is not given. Now let us consider the next example. We will consider the set of all integers. Let us not take only positive integers, let us take the set of all integers where you have a pair a comma b as part of the relation whenever 3a plus 2b, I will erase this completely, whenever 3a plus 2b is a multiple of 5. It is different from the previous one. We just do not talk about odd and even numbers here. We want a particular combination where we say 3a plus 2b is a multiple of 5. Now let us try and find out any examples for this. Let us try and understand the format of the ordered pairs that are included in this relation. Can you think of some pair that will fit the bill? I can think of one. I can think of a is equal to 2 and b is equal to 2. Because if a is 2, 3a is 6, and if b is 2, 2b is 4. 6 and 4 is 10 and 10 is a multiple. If a is 2 and b is 2, 3a plus 2b is 6 plus 4, which is actually 10, which is 5 times 2. Therefore you end up having a multiple of 5. So 2 comma 2 is one ordered pair part of the relation, is one ordered pair that is part of the relation. What if I pick 3 and 2? What if I pick a is 3 and b is 2? Then I will have 3a plus 2b being 9 plus 4, which is actually 13, not a number of the form 5m. So 3 comma 2 is not part of the set. Can you think of some other numbers? 3 comma 3 is obviously part. What about 3 comma 6? If a is 3 and b is 6, 3 times 3 is 9 and 2 times 6 is 12. 9 and 12, no, once again it does not. 9 and 12 is 21, which is not part, which is not like a multiple of 5. You cannot find any ordered pair which combines an even number and an odd number. Maybe 2 even numbers will work, maybe 2 odd numbers will work, but never an odd number and an even number, I guess. Can you just give me one more example? Let us try one more example to convince ourselves and then move ahead. What if a is 2? What if a is 4 and b is 4 again? It works every time for a reflexive pair, it works. Any number of the form a comma a, it will definitely work. 1 1 will give us 5, 2 2 will give us 10, 3 3 will give us 15, 4 4 will give us 20, 5 5 will give us 25. It will always work. But will it also work for symmetric pairs? That is what I am interested in. What if I pick a as 6 and b as 1? I will have 3a plus 2b giving us 18 plus 2, which is actually 20, a multiple of 5. So 6 1 is a pair. 6 1 is a pair. 6 1 works out pretty much. But what about 1 6? Will it also mean that 1 6 is part of R? 1 6 means I have 3 times 1 and 2 times 6, which will give me 3 plus 12, which is nothing but 15, a direct multiple of 5 again. So we see that 6 1 and 1 6 are together. But is it evidence to believe that R will be symmetric? Once again, like I told you, you cannot base your argument only based on examples. You have to give rigorous arguments supporting the claim that R is reflexive, symmetric and transitive. For that matter, we will start the proof. Now we have had a look at how these pairs will look like. We cannot list all of them because the set is infinite. So let us try and prove it one by one. Let us first show that R is reflexive. When do we say a relation is reflexive? For any A belonging to the set, AA should be part of the relation. What do you mean when you say AA is part of the relation? You are considering a 3A plus a 2A, which is always of the form 5A. And 5A is a multiple of 5. So for any A, 3A plus 2A will turn out to be a multiple of 5, and therefore you will see that R is always reflexive on the given set. That is the easy part of the proof. Let us try and figure out the case where you try and show R is symmetric. Now this takes some work. We will try and show R is symmetric, not with examples, but using a rigorous method of proof. How do you show that R is symmetric? Let us consider a pair A comma B. Let A comma B belong to R. So this means that 3A plus 2B is a multiple of 5. Let us call it 5M. We are to show that BA also belongs to R. But when do you say BA belongs to R? You will have to show that a combination of A and B in this form, A and B in this form, is actually a multiple of 5. You do not know if it is, because you do not know what B and A are, but you are trying to show it will be true for any two values of A and B. Only then you can generalize the argument and say that R is in fact symmetric. But let us try and do this. So now tell me, can I write 3B as 5B minus 2B? It is always possible, right? 3B is 5B minus 2B. And 2A is 5A minus 3A, right? Now grouping the like terms, I have 5A plus 5B minus 2B minus 3A. Now 5A is a multiple of 5, 5B is a multiple of 5, and minus 2B minus 3A is actually minus of 2B plus 3A. We know that 2B plus 3A actually gives us 5M. So while considering 3B plus 5A and making a few simplifications, we see that it is actually equal to 5B plus 5A minus 5M, which is 5 times A plus B minus M, which is always a multiple of 5. This is a clear multiple of 5. So you have started with AB and you have shown that BA is also now belonging to the set. Therefore R will always be symmetric in addition to being reflexive. Now the next up we will have a look at the transitive nature of R. Now it is okay, you have shown that it is reflexive, you have shown that it is symmetric. Can you try and show that it will actually be transitive? Can you pick two different pairs and ensure that the third pair is also part of the set? What if AB is in R? If AB is in R, I would like to show you that 3A plus 2B is 5M. Now if BC is in R, then I will mean to say that 3B plus 2C is 5K. Now assuming that these two are right, will I be able to show AC also belongs to R? Is what is the question before us. Can I show that BA is also part of R? To show that AC is part of R, I will need to consider the expression where I take 3A plus 2C. That can be obtained by just adding these two. I will get 3A plus 2B plus 3B plus 2C, giving us 5M and 5K. So that is 3A plus 2C, which what we require, along with 5B giving us 5M and 5K, or in effect 3A plus 2C is simply 5M plus 5K minus 5B. That is 5 times m plus k minus b, where all of these are integers. So you have an integer multiple of 5. Therefore 3a plus 2c is a multiple of 5, which means a comma c is also part of the relation. A comma c is also part of the relation. Therefore R is also transitive. In the previous 3 slides we have shown that R is reflexive, we have shown that R is symmetric, and now we have established the fact that R is also transitive. Therefore R is in fact an equivalence relation. So what looked like a very difficult relation has been proven to be an equivalence relation using valid arguments. And that is what I want you to do. Not all your relations will be a collection of ordered pairs. In some instances you will be given the definition of the relation. It is your duty to identify the pattern of the pairs present and thereby establish the fact that it is an equivalence relation. Have a look at one more example, but this time we are actually considering integers again. Let us make it clear, it is for the set of all integers, not just positive integers, where you say that a comma b belongs to R whenever a square plus b is even. Now we did a plus b some time back and we showed that it is actually an equivalence relation. Now what if you are considering a square plus b in the place of a plus b? Let us first get a hold of this relation by listing a few pairs as a sample. Now can I have 1 comma 3 as a part of this relation? 1 comma 3 will belong to R only when you say, or only when you see for yourself what happens to 1 squared plus 3. Now 1 squared plus 3 is 4, which is an even number. Then clearly 1 comma 3 will belong to R. There are no doubts about that. What about 1 comma 1? 1 comma 1 is again 1 square plus 4, which is 2, again an even number. Therefore 1 1 belongs to R. What if you have 2 comma 3? 2 comma 3 gives us 2 squared plus 3, which is actually 7, and 7 is not an even number. 7 is not of the form 2k, and therefore 2 comma 3 will not be part of the relation. So what about 2 4 then? 2 4 will give us 2 square plus 4, which is 4 plus 4, which is 8. 8 is of the form 2 times 4. So 2 comma 4 will belong to the pair. So not all pairs that can be generated are part of the relation. Some of them are part, some of them are not. But as I told you again, example is not the way to give the proof. You have to rigorously establish all the statements that you are claiming. We will start with the first claim, that R may be reflexive. We will try and show that we are able to show that this is right. What if R is reflexive? How do you show that R is reflexive? For that you will have to consider an ordered pair where both numbers are same. I will have to compare A with A again. So you say A comma A belongs to R only when A square plus A is even. And how do you show A square plus A is always even for any choice of A? As a matter of fact, this is an easy part of the proof. A square plus A is actually A times A plus 1. Now let us consider two cases. Let A be an odd number. Let A be odd. If A is odd, A plus 1 is even. 1 more than an odd number is always even. And A times A plus 1 is a product of an even number and an odd number. Now recall, whenever you multiply an even number with an odd number, you will get back an even number. A times A plus 1 is always even. Therefore if A is odd number, A square plus A is always an even number. Now what if A is even? Let A be even. If A is even, A square is also even, and you are adding A square with A again. You are adding an even number with an even number, you will always get an even number back. So A square plus A is even when also when A is even. No matter if A is odd or A is even, A square plus A is going to be even. therefore R is reflexive. What if we consider the next case where the relation is supposed to be symmetric, and how do you establish that? One easy way to establish the claim is that if AB is even, then so is BA, like the same way we did for A plus B, but this time it's a square thing. We will try and establish it in a different way. Let's assume that A comma B is part of R, which will mean that A square plus B is an even number of the form 2m. Now to show that B comma A is also part of R, you are considering an expression of the form B square plus A. Now you don't know what B is, you don't know what A is, you only know that A square plus B is even number. You don't know anything else about A or B square. You can't decide that, you cannot assume, you are not proving instances by considering examples, you are proving instances rigorously. So for that we will make use of the first equation. You know that A square plus B is even. From here B is 2m minus A square, which will mean that B square is the square of 2m minus A square. Now if you can recall the formula of A minus B whole square, you can actually find how B square plus A will turn out to be. B square plus A will be 2m minus A square squared again and added to A. So the square will end up having 4m square plus A power 4 minus 2 times 2m times A square. You also add an A to it. So you are having 4m square minus 4m A square plus A power 4, which is 4m square, which is a multiple of 4, 4m A square again a multiple of 4 plus A times 1 plus A cube. Now this is even, we know that this is even. If you can show that this is even, the proof is true. But how do you show it? Once again, let's take two cases. If A is odd, you know that A square is also odd. Therefore A square plus 1 is even, which will mean A times A cube plus 1 is also an even number. Similarly, if A is odd, if A is even, then you already have an even number in the product. Whatever this is, the product is always going to be even. So B square plus A will always turn out to be an even number of the form 2k, therefore R will be symmetric. Let's go on to the next part. How do you show that R is transitive? We need two pairs which are already part of the relation. AB belongs to R if A square plus B is an even number. BC belongs to R if B square plus C is an even number. Now you are interested in finding out if AC also belongs to R, for which you will consider the expression A square plus C. That can be obtained by adding these two. So A square plus B plus C plus B square is 2k plus 2m, out of which A square plus C is 2k plus 2m minus B square, or that's 2k plus 2m minus of B plus B square. We already proved in the first part that the relation is reflexive, therefore B square plus B is always even, therefore 2k plus 2m minus 2l is what we have, because this is always even since the relation is reflexive. So this is 2 times k plus m minus l, which is again an even number, say 2m1. So whenever AB and BC are part of the relation, we see that AC is also part of the relation, therefore the relation is also transitive. Let's have a look at one more example. Here again we will consider set of all integers, not necessarily positive, and we relate a number A with another number B or we say that A comma B belongs to R only when A congruent to B modulo 5. Now modulo 5 is an operation that we will see in detail in the 4th unit of the course, but now I will just give you an introduction to it. If A is congruent to B modulo 5, we are trying to say that A minus B is a multiple of 5. As an example, 9 is congruent to 4 modulo 5, because 9 minus 4 is 5, an exact multiple of 5. Or you also mean to say that 4 is the remainder when you divide 9 by 5. All of this is what is discussed in this operation called modulo 5. When I say A is congruent to B modulo 5, I mean that the difference between A and B is actually a multiple of 5. How do you show this? Or let us compare what numbers are part of this relation. For example, 6 comma 1 is part of the relation. 6 comma 1 belongs to R because 6 minus 1 is 5, a multiple of 5. 8 comma 3 is a multiple of 5. 18 comma 3 is also a multiple of 5. 38 comma 3 is also a multiple of 5. 13 minus 3 is also a multiple of 5. So such numbers will be part of the relation, will be considered as ordered pairs in the relation. Our task is to show that, or to test whether this relation is an equivalence relation. We will start up with the proof on the reflexive nature. Let us check if R turns out to be reflexive. For this, you will consider the pair of A with itself. We told you that AB is part of R only when the difference is a multiple of 5. Now what is the difference between A and A? A and A is 0, and 0 is clearly a multiple of 5. 0 is 0 times 5. It is a multiple of 5. Therefore, A comma A belongs to R for any A belonging to the set of integers. So look for any number. 6 comma 6 belongs to R because 6 minus 6 is 0, a multiple of 5. 10 comma 10, same way. 13 comma 13, same way again. So R is clearly reflexive. Well, let us try and show if it is, let us try and see if it is symmetric. To prove it is symmetric, you will first need to start with the pair AB, which is part of R. When I say AB is part of R, then A minus B is 5K. It's a multiple of 5. Now what happens to B minus A? B minus A can be obtained by multiplying the previous equation by minus 1. It will give us B minus A is minus 5K. If B minus A is minus 5K, then still you see that the difference between B and A is a multiple of 5. Since we have included all integers, this is not a problem. The B minus A is still a multiple of 5. Therefore, B comma A is also part of the relation. Therefore, R is actually symmetric in addition to being reflexive. What about transitive nature? Let us take the pairs AB belonging to R, which will mean that A minus B is 5K1, and BC belonging to R, which will mean that B minus C is 5K2. I will have to consider something to show that A comma C also belongs to R, for which I need A minus C. A minus C is obtained by just adding these two. A minus B plus B minus C is 5 times K1 plus K2, or A minus C is just 5L, where L is K1 plus K2. Therefore, A is congruent to C modulo 5. So whenever there are two pairs AB and BC, we have established that the third pair AC is also part of the relation. Therefore, R turns out to be an equivalence relation. Now what about this? This time we are considering only the set of all positive integers, but you say A and B are related only if A is lesser or equal to B. When you compare the two numbers, one of them should always be greater than the other, or the other should be equal to this. Only then you have a pair possible. Now what are such elements that you see here? We will definitely have 1 1, 2 2, etc., because 1 is equal to 1 and equality is part of the definition. 2 is equal to 2, 3 is equal to 3, etc. Can we have 1 comma 5? Yeah, 1 comma 5 is actually part of R, because 1 is less than 5. Less than 5 still is permitted. 1 is less than 5, and therefore 1 comma 5 is part of the relation. Can we have 2 comma 6 part of the R? Yeah, 2 is less than 6, that helps us. Can we have 11 comma 3 part of the R? We actually cannot have, because 3 is not greater than 11, or 11 is not less than 3. It doesn't pertain to the condition where we say A is less than or equal to B. So you cannot have 11 comma 3, but you can have 1 5, you can have 2 6. Now let's try and see if this relation is an equivalence relation. R is reflexive straight away. Since any number A is equal to itself, which will mean A comma A will always be part of the relation. So R is actually easily proved to be reflexive. But can you show R is symmetric? Like most of you might have guessed by now, R unfortunately fails to be symmetric, because when you say AB is part of the R, you are trying to show that A is less than B, or A is equal to B. But if A and B are distinct, only this or this is true. If this is true, this is not. If this is not, this is true. So you may have 1 comma 6 in R, but you will never have 6 comma 1 in R. 6 comma 1 will never be part of the relation, because 6 is not less than 1. For any two numbers, only one pair is present, the other pair is not present. So there will be lot of instances where AB is in R, but BA is absent in R. Therefore R is actually a symmetric relation, or cannot be a symmetric relation. Can R be transitive? Can R be transitive? You need 3 pairs now. Let's say A comma B is in R, which means A is less than or equal to B. Let's say B comma C belongs to R, and B is less than or equal to C. Now can we say A comma C also belongs to R? That means you have to get a inequality like this. That is actually possible. Combining these two, you will in fact see that A is less than or equal to C. Therefore R turns out to be transitive and reflexive, but it fails to be symmetric. Therefore R cannot be an equivalence relation. R is only one of the 3, or is not all of the 3. For the last example today, let's consider one relation where A comma B, A is related to B whenever A cube plus B is even. This time we are not squaring them, we are cubing A and adding to B. Can you guess any number that will be, any pair that will be part of the relation? Can 1 comma 1 be part of the relation? 1 comma 1 leads to the conclusion that 1 cube plus 1 is even. 1 cube plus 1 actually turns out to be even. 1 1 is part of the set. Can 3 1 be part of the set? What about the 3 cube plus 1? 3 cube plus 1 is 28, which is again even. 3 cube plus 1 is even, and therefore 3 comma 1 is part of the set. What about 4 comma 2? 4 comma 2 is 4 cube plus 2. 4 cube is 64, and 2 gives you 66, is an even number. What about 2 comma 8? That's 2 cube plus 8, which is 8 plus 8, which is 16, another even number. What about 2 comma 5? Is 2q plus 5, that's 8 plus 5 is 13, is not even, therefore 2 5 will not belong to the relation. But once again, these are only examples, they are not concrete proofs. We will establish that R is actually in equivalence relation through a rigorous approach to solving this. First up, let us show that R is reflexive. For any A, what happens to A cube plus A? A cube plus A is of the form A times A square plus 1. A times A square plus 1. Now let us consider two cases. What if A is odd? If A is odd, A square is also odd, which will mean A square plus 1 is also even. Therefore, A times A square plus 1 is even times odd, this is always even. Pretty easy. What about A is even? If A is even, A square is even. You already know A is even, so, or A cube is also even. So when you add A cube plus A, you are adding two integers which are even, 2m plus 2k, this is again an integer of the form 2l. So even if A is odd number, you see A comma A as part of the relation. Even if A is even number, you see A comma A part of the relation. Therefore R is in fact reflexive. Can you show R is symmetric now? To show R is symmetric, we will have to assume that A comma B is part of the relation and say a comment on B comma A also being part of the relation. Can you show this? You can show this only when you consider the expression A cube plus B. Now since AB is part of the relation, A cube plus B is some even number 2m. A cube plus B is some even number 2m. But is that enough to show that B cube plus A is also an even number? That is what we are interested in. So, but A cube plus B is 2m will mean that B is 2m minus A cube. Therefore B cube will be the cube of 2m minus A cube. Now if you expand this, B cube plus A is actually 8m cube minus 3 times 2m square times A cube plus 3 times 2m times A cube whole square minus A cube the whole cube. That is what you get. When you add them up, you will have an 8m cube minus 12m square A cube plus 6 A power 6m minus A power 27. So this is what B cube is. So if you add A to B cube, you will have 8m cube which is even, 12m square which is always even, 6 A power 6 which is even again, added with an A power 27 and an A. So we will end up having an even number in 2k, an even number in 2l, an even number in 2n and A times A power 26 minus 1. Now the same argument again, if A is even, then this product is even times odd which is always even. A times A power 26 minus 1 is even always. If A is odd, A power 26 is also odd. So A power 26 minus 1 is even, therefore it is odd times even which is also even. So this entire sum is 2k minus 2l plus 2n minus 2m, or that is 2 times k minus l plus n minus m, which is an even number of the form 2m plus 1. So we have in fact shown that B comma A belongs to R, or we have established the fact that R is symmetric. Now if we can also try and successfully demonstrate that R is transitive, we can claim that R is an equivalence relation, and that is what we will take. To show that R is transitive, you need two pairs which are already part of the relation. So a comma b is in R will mean that a cube plus b is even, and b comma c belongs to R will mean that b cube plus c is even. Now what happens if you are considering a comma c belonging to R? This will happen only when a cube plus c is even, and a cube plus c can be obtained by just adding these two as a cube plus c plus b cube, giving us 2m plus 2n, or a cube plus c on the other hand is 2m plus 2n minus b cube, or that is 2m plus 2n minus of b plus b cube. Now we already have established the fact that R is a reflexive relation, which means b cube plus b is also even. So you have a 2m, you have a 2n, you have a 2k, that is 2 times m plus n minus k, which is always an even number of the form 2m plus 1. So if AB is in R and BC is in R, AC is also in R, therefore the relation is a transitive relation. So independently we have shown that R is reflexive, we have shown that R is symmetric, we have also shown that R is transitive, which will mean that R in fact qualifies to be an equivalence relation. So this is how you tackle problems which define relations not as a collection of ordered pairs but as a definition on a given set. And if you can apply the principles of mathematics consciously, you will be able to either show that the relation is an equivalence or also that it is not equivalence. So with that we will wind up this class on equivalence relations, and I will just sum up what we have learnt in unit 2. We have understood the basics of relations. We have seen that any relation is a subset of a Cartesian product. We have classified relations into 4 main types: the reflexive, symmetric, transitive and antisymmetric types. We have discussed methods of representing a relation using using matrices. We have also performed certain operations on relations using matrices. We have found the union of two relations, the intersection, the symmetric difference and the closure of two relations using matrices. We have also done the composition of two relations. Further, we have discussed the ideas of the reflexive, symmetric and transitive closures of a relation. The reflexive and symmetric closures can be easily identified. The transitive closure requires the use of an algorithm given by Warshall, and in today's class we have also discussed a different set of problems where a relation is not defined in terms of ordered pairs but in terms of a definition. A concrete definition has been given, and in all these cases we have also shown that these relations are also equivalence relations. Some of them have not been equivalence relations, but we have shown that others are. We have not used examples to show this, we have used examples to understand the concept, but we have used rigorous mathematical concepts to show that they are actually equivalence relation. With that we wind up the second unit of this course on inferential discrete mathematics. The next series of lectures will be on recurrence relations and how they are connected with sequences. Thank you.